You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family. Well, hi, everybody. This is Glenn the Geek back with you, founder of the Horse Radio Network and host of Horses in the Morning, the daily podcast I've been doing for 15 years. Welcome to the WESA Retail Roundup. The Retail Roundup is your go-to virtual hub for all things retail. Join panel discussions, learn from webinars, share your thoughts, ask questions, and connect with your community. We host a virtual event or share educational content every Thursday on the Retail Roundup Facebook group and also on the podcast feed. It's called Wisdom by WESA. You can find these episodes there as well. Well, we're going to go back in time now and to when I started in retail all those many years ago to somebody else who started at about the same time. And the topic today is, owning and running a retail business while maintaining a life outside of work seems impossible sometimes. And that's any business, not just retail. Well, Rosemary is here from Equus Now, and she's in Ohio, and she's going to join us to explain how she does it. And she still rode 2,100 miles in 2025, so that's no small task either. But you and I, let's go back in history for a little bit. I had the Horse Stuff Company, and you had Equus Now. We both started about the same time. I might have been the same year.
I'm sure it was. I mean, it was at a time when the internet was really in its infancy, and the whole idea of internet shopping was scary because the thought of like putting your financial information out there was just like, no, you can't do that.
Well, and we were there were three of us that were the first with websites for tack shops online at the very beginning of the internet when we were all on dial-up. And it took an hour to upload a picture.
Oh my gosh, you got mail.
But it was you, it was Equus Now, it was the Horse Stuff Company, and it was VTO Saddlery. And I think VTO Saddlery might even have been first.
It wasn't called VTO in the beginning.
What was it called? I don't remember.
It was the Virginia Tack Outlet.
And it was brightly colored, like had 1,000 colors. That's what I remember about it. But we had to take checks. So this is a history lesson for everybody, too, that's new in retail in the horse world. We had to take checks because there was no way to pay online. You couldn't. There was no credit card payments online in those days. Mm-hmm. So PayPal came along, and we all started taking PayPal. And then they would screw us over because as soon as you started selling any amount, they would shut your account down and make you go through this 2-month-long process to get verified. It was just incredible. There were so many obstacles back then. Bandwidth was an obstacle because we were all on dial-up, and pictures only were allowed to be so big because you had to worry about storage. It was something else.
And another kicker is we had to know how to write code. There was no plug and play. There was no, let's have
WordPress wasn't around.
No, you had to know code. And God forbid you had the wrong slanty line in your line of code. And 2 days later, you can't even figure out like how to get this in. Oh, it was a nightmare. And the saying of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger really defined who we are.
Yeah.
We're very strong people.
You know what, though? And we made a lot of people mad in those early days. A lot of tack shops were mad at us. I mean, we saw what the future was coming, but there were a lot of people that were really mad. Some of the catalog companies were really mad because they were spending all these thousands and thousands of dollars sending out catalogs. And here we were. And the ironic part is, in those early days, because there were so few of us, we were the first ones to sell on eBay, too. Woo, we got so much hate over that because we were the first ones to sell on eBay. But we would just sell our leftovers and returns on eBay. That's how we got rid of them. But, and it was great. But yeah, we sold a lot of stuff, though. That was the thing. We sold a lot of stuff, even as archaic
crazy
as it was.
Well, so initially Equus Now was in Michigan. And, I had this 8-acre horse farm, and I had these garages on the property, and I had the barn. And I was shipping out of my garage 200 orders a day out of this garage with no heat, no running water, and it's Michigan.
We were garage too.
Cold. Oh my gosh! And then this was so funny. I remember like we're getting rid of all these closeouts and these liquidations, and a lot of vendors would say to us, "Well, you have to have a real store. We can't sell to you."
Yep. That's
unless you have a store. And I'm like, we're moving hundreds of thousands of goods through my garage. and you want me to like make this fake store, which it truly was. Like I had no interest in the store. All I wanted to do was volume and mail order and ship. And then I had to build this shell of a store, which is so funny because it actually took over my company. That the store kept getting bigger and more beautiful. Yes, we have 18,000 square feet, and I wanted nothing to do with brick and mortar.
We had to do the same thing. We had to start a store. We started in our house. We had a big house then at the farm, and we started in the house, but it was because nobody would open our accounts at that point.
Yes.
And then WeatherBeeta was one of the first ones that would open our account, and we did a lot of business with WeatherBeeta at that point, and they still remember us all these years later. So anyway, there's a little history lesson for how tax started on the internet. You're looking at it.
We're going to get so off topic. I mean, and just the two of us are just going to just start talking. So just warning to everybody. Okay. This is now the Glenn and Rose show.
All right. So you have two stores, and you opened the second store when in like 2015, 16, somewhere in there? 2017,
2018. I know because my lease just came up for renewal. We had like an 8-year lease. So yeah, that happened in 2018, and it happened because I had a really, really good person that worked in the Columbus store, that I wanted her to do more. She could do more. And she said to me once, Rose, how about opening up another store? And I said, you could do that. Go for it. And that's why we have two stores. Cause I have good people. And
is she still with you?
Of course, she's now my general manager.
Oh, wow.
And she's an integral part of what allows me to do what I do outside of work, because she's really strong.
Now, you were mostly English at that time. Are you English Western now, or you do both, or just English?
No, we are 100% English.
Okay.
We know to stick with what we know and what we're good at, and trial and error. And
I assume the online presence is still there, and you're still doing business, shipping out boxes, but not in your basement anymore.
No, we're not. No, I miss those days. That was like the core of like who I am. But no, now we have a big warehouse, lots of shipping stations, lots of orders. The mail order end is about 60 to 65% of our overall.
I was wondering
company.
What that total was. Okay.
So
I'm glad you offered that because it gives some context. Yes. Did you have kids? I don't remember.
I do. I have 2 children, and the only time I missed a trade show was because I gave birth to one of my children.
Oh, so you slacker. That's where I used to see Rose too, was at every trade show we went to over the years. I think I've been to almost 40 now.
I know, it has been. I started working for Miller's in 1992. So every trade show for 2 years.
Okay, if we want to go back in history, there's history right there.
I'm so old. I used to be this kid when I started, and now I'm just old.
Now, you have 2 kids. How old are they now?
Jackson is 14, and 14. Lauren is going to be 12.
And so I know hanging out with them and doing things that, going to their events and things was important to you. And that's work-life balance, what we're going to talk about today. I assume that's still the case, even more so.
It is. Yeah. I gave up completely riding and being around horses for 10 years. And I did that to be part of my kids' life, to spend as much time with them as possible. And, then they got to be like preteens, and they're like, well, we don't want to hang out with you anymore. So, okay.
If they have a sport, if they're in a sport, though, they do want you to come to the games.
Oh, that's very different. You even if they say they don't, if you're not at a game.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I played tennis for 4 years, and I realize it's a boring sport to watch, but my parents never came to one match in 4 years, and I remember that to this day. So, yeah, you're right, absolutely right. So, and then you took up riding again. You rode 2,100 miles last year. Were you doing endurance rides, or was this just pleasure riding, or what?
A little bit of both. It's not. I have a draft cross, so she is not the caliber of horse that could compete and be successful at sanctioned endurance rides. We can do 25 miles, but we can't do it at speed. And truly, you have to do it at speed to be able to win. And I want to win. I don't want to just do it. So I don't do those, but I do a lot of distance rides, solo with friends, and I track mileage on my own. So I had a goal in 2025 to set this number or get as close as I could to the most. So I was all in, and I rode for usually anywhere from 4 to 6 days a week. And I have no trails on the property where I board. So I had to haul out every single time that I rode. So between my horse, my truck, and my trailer, we have a lot of miles on us.
Your horse loads well now, or doesn't want to load at all, one of the two. Yeah.
Wait, she started being really difficult to catch. And I'm like, oh, I think I know why.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the topic at hand. We all find ourselves when we run our own businesses, I don't care what it is, right? And especially retail, that you just get consumed with work, and then you find that you're totally consumed, and before you realize it, you're not taking any time off. We've all done it. You've done it. I've done it. We all do it. What did you do to correct that?
Well, like we've discussed, I've been doing this for a very long time. And it's so fun to build a business, to grow it. It's so fun. And that was my hobby, building this business. Well, Equus Now got to a point where, it's pretty big. And, how much bigger, could I do? Well, I was really happy at the stage that I was. And I decided that, when I got back into horses, I wanted to take that passion that I had for building the company into my riding. So I really went all in, from not riding at all for 10 years to doing what I do now. And I fox hunt a lot, and I belong to a lot of these different clubs. So yeah, it's really a focus of mine.
So did you hire somebody to run the business, or are you still running the business?
I'm not, what I've been very blessed with is I have a team that is passionate about the company, they've been there for a long time. Jen Hetzler is one person that's been with me for 25 years.
We dealt with her. Yes, that's
yes.
right.
Yes. Yeah, Jen came from WESA. I'm sure she's listening, so you can say hi to her right now. Oh, gosh. So Jen left Weatherbeeta to come work for Equus Now back in 2003. And you have Jen, you have our general manager, Tracy Baker. You have my e-commerce director, Amanda Rudolph. We have really strong people that have been there for a long time that know what they're doing. You're not training them to do their jobs. They know what they're doing. And I went to Aiken, South Carolina for several weeks in January, and they ran the company. They did everything that I do. And I got back and everything was perfect. And it's not always the way that you're going to do it, but they did it their way, and they did a great job.
And the result was the same, right? I mean, the result ends up being the same. Yeah.
Sales are good. Everyone's happy. Yeah, it's great.
We remember what it was like in the early days, though, when we were starting out, and you always need a person before you can afford a person. So what are some things that you would advise they have one or two part-time employees, they're looking at growing the company? Well, I don't care how big you are. You always need a person before you can afford a person. I don't care whether it's your 5th person or your 20th person. That's always been true. How did you overcome that? How did you handle it? Did you just hire them? What'd you do?
Oh my gosh, no. An important thing to remember, and I'm sure as you know, and any retailer knows, you're not going to get rich in this industry. You're not. You are in this industry because you love what you do. You love the people you work with. You love your customers. You love horses. Well, when you're looking for talent, like, big talent, you can't afford, you don't have the budget, to bring in people from big pharma. You don't have that kind of budget. So you have to look for people that are really strong individuals as humans, and who have the ability to grow and to coach and to train. And when you have someone that has all those things, and they're part of something from the ground up, and they've built it, they're responsible. I mean, it's not me, it's them for building this company. You have this sense of empowerment, of accomplishment, and that makes a company, is having those people from the ground up build the company with you.
So you find the people you can afford that you think have potential.
You find the people that have it. They either have a spark or they don't have a spark. And you look for someone with a spark. They don't have to have any skill set in what you're bringing them in for, but they have that ability to want to do good, to want to make you happy, that want to build. And that's all it takes, is that spark. And I'm still, every day I'm out there, and whether I'm riding or whether I'm in the mall, I'm looking for that spark, because that's the key, I think, to business, finding those people.
In the early days of the Horse Radio Network, people ask how I auditioned to host because we have over 50 hosts, and they ask how I hired hosts. I had them on as a guest first, and in 2 minutes I knew whether they had it or not. You just
Yes.
know, and well, that's exactly what you're saying. There, you're going on by your gut. You really are. Your gut is telling you, and it's the other thing too, especially in a retail operation like we were all in and you're in, is you got to have people you like to hang out with because you're in close quarters. And you're there you're spending more time with them than you are your family sometimes. So, you just
So
have to have people
true.
you like.
Absolutely. And, I see it too. I see when people start working, and what we do is we do like this shadowing program. So they come in and we don't tell them anything. We just observe. We observe how they act. We observe how they interact with people. We observe what they're doing. Are they standing there? Are they looking for something? And I'd say within 2 hours, you're going to know if that person's going to fit or not.
Yep.
And I love doing that. Don't hire. Be very careful about hiring, but bring in lots of people and just observe them and watch them. And
Yeah,
you're
you
going to
know pretty
find
quickly. And the red
yes.
flags are there. Sometimes we choose to ignore them because we need an employee so desperately right now because the other one quit. And, we're always under the gun, it seems like, but that's where you make your mistake. Yeah.
That's the biggest deficit I see in management is bringing people in that they breathe. Okay, they're breathing. Okay, let's give them a job. Like, no. You struggle, and you work yourself and you work these extra hours until you find that rock star. Because having these weak links in your company defines perception of your company. And when you're dealing with a face-to-face consumer, you can't take that chance for your business. You got to have rock stars. It's very important.
Well, not only that, you'll be doing it every 6 weeks because they'll quit. So, they'll be unreliable. You'll fire them or they'll quit. So you'll be doing it every 6 weeks. If you take a little time, it may take 6 weeks to hire the right person,
Oh, yeah.
but you're going to keep them like you have forever. What was the
Yes.
hardest task for you to delegate? What would you say your
Oh
hardest task to
gosh.
delegate?
Well, my personal jobs are buying. I lead purchasing and I lead marketing. And finding someone who could market the way that I know how to market was a lot for me to relinquish. And I was very blessed that I have someone that works for me now that started for me when they were in college. And she followed my exact portfolio, like exactly how I did things. And she put her own spin on it as she put the years in. And right now, like what she churns out is spectacular. So I'd say marketing and letting marketing kind of go to a different level was hard, but I am so thrilled right now.
And how did it change your stress level?
I still get stressed, but I don't. That's my outlet. I think that the fact that I have this outlet outside of work and that I could leave and I could do things. It has completely eliminated that level of stress I used to have. You just have to have faith, and people make mistakes. They make mistakes all the time.
Oh, you and I still make mistakes. I mean, we
Oh
buy
my
the
God,
wrong products or whatever, right? I mean, yeah.
absolutely. But you're never going to learn how to do it right unless you fail at something, unless you make that mistake. So let people make mistakes with kids. When you raise kids, let them fail. Let them mess up because they're not going to want to do that again. And I think everyone's afraid of that. Everyone's afraid of making mistakes when you just got to go all in.
Well, and I think too, we've all worked for the managers that when you made a mistake, ripped you a new one and handled it totally the wrong way. And that, then we're always leery, right? We're always, you always have that over your head. And I think that's how you keep employees, is not being that guy or, that woman. So is there any specific piece of software that you have now that is a time saver that you would say, okay, this is a magic thing right now? What do you use for your POS currently, by the way?
We recently had a total system changeover in 2025. We went from something we've been using for years and years to something completely new. So we went from Retail Pro to Shopify.
Oh, you are at Shopify now. Okay.
We are, and we went with Shopify Plus, which is definitely the more robust system of Shopify, and we really like it for what it is, but it's not an end all be all. You have no buying capabilities, you don't have receiving, you don't have warehousing. I mean, there's lots of deficits to Shopify. But what it's good at, it's very good at. Okay, customer interfacing, that kind of thing. My best trick or tip for a software to get is look into Inventory Planner by Sage. It is worth every penny. I don't find it personally very expensive. I think it's under 6,000 a year. And the way it determines my inventory buys, I have no stock outs. I have nothing that I'm out of. And I buy based on either a 30, a 60, or a 90-day plan. So typically I like to do 30-day plans because I like to keep, my turns tight. But it does my job way better than me. So anyone can do it. I can do it in Aiken, South Carolina. I can do it anywhere in the world. And
what was the name of it again?
Inventory Planner, and it's by Sage. Sage is a big company. They're similar to NetSuite.
Yeah.
And we were looking for Sage to take over our back end. And when we started using it, it was beyond my capabilities to use. And I could have brought someone in to use it. I didn't want to do that. So I decided to just use their Inventory Planner software, and I love it.
And it integrates well with Shopify?
Perfectly. Yeah, It's a perfect integration. Yes.
There you go. Do you use AI for anything?
I hate to say this, because I hate the data centers. I hate what they're doing, to our country, our horse.
That doesn't change the fact that we all use it.
Oh my gosh. I use it a lot, and I really like it, and it's getting better and better. And I started taking these courses on the side to really use it the right way. And once I started doing that, oh my goodness, like the things that you could do are insane.
I bring that up because it is a tool. I mean, whoever doesn't figure out AI in the next 5 years is going to be gone. I mean, it's just here. It's like the early days. I correlate it to that. The early days when we started tack online, it's like those very early days. And, we figured it out along the way, and it's kind of what we're doing with AI now. And my job, of course, as a host of a daily show, it's a godsend. It just helps me save time with research and all of that, right? It just helps me save time. And that's what we're talking about today. So do you use it for the operation of the company? How do you use it to help the company? By the way, for those that are watching, there's the enormous cat.
This is my little one. You should see the big one. The big one is like 50 pounds. All my animals eat very well.
What's this one called?
This is Cheese.
That figures. That just fits, actually.
I gotta tell you. So I have two cats. One of them is Gigi, and when I got a second one, I wanted to do like Francisco or Vito or something very Italian. And so I get him, and he's the dumbest thing that has ever walked the planet. Like, you look at him and you literally just see like a deer in a headlight 24/7. So the only name that fit him was Cheese.
Well, hi, Cheese. Now I forgot what I asked. Oh, AI. See, animals disrupted our train of thought. Are you using AI in the operations of the business?
I am. I initially, like a lot of people, used it, for things that were like fun and fluffy. Like let's help with social media verbiage. Let's help making this picture better. Oh, the lighting is awful. Let's use it for that. Well, then I started asking it questions. Like questions that you would ask, consultants, you would bring in people, like high level people. And the answers that were coming back were really spot on. And I'm like, well, let's see what else we can do with this. So yes, I'm using it a lot for rollout plans, budgeting, forecasting as far as goals, that kind of thing. So yes, it is amazing.
And that's where some additional training on AI does come in handy, because it can do unbelievable things in reading spreadsheets and all of that stuff that most people think you just ask it a question and get an answer. But it can, I wrote a whole business plan the other day using AI as a guide. Now I had to make it my own, but it saved me probably a week of time.
Oh my gosh. And we were talking about you and I when we built our website. Like we had to know code. We had to know how to design it, from the bottom, which is not even done anymore. And with AI, oh my gosh. I mean, what it can turn out as far as a finished, beautiful, complete themed website, it blows my mind.
It,
It's really good.
yeah, I know a lot of people hate it, and I get that. There are things we obviously don't like about it either, but it's not going away.
It's not.
It's
And
not
it's
going
like
away.
with Amazon and
It's a tool.
eBay. Yeah, it's the evolution of the way we do business. And I
Yep.
think in all businesses you have to evolve. So you have to, it is what it is. But I'm telling you one thing is protect your areas, protect your horse country. Because Columbus, Ohio, I don't know if you know this, but man, they were given this song and dance about the greatest thing to ever happen to Columbus, Ohio, or building these massive data centers. And everyone was on board and they were so excited. And it made millionaires overnight. People sold their farmland, for millions and millions of dollars. But now it's a shit show. I mean, it
Yeah,
is so bad.
water, all the issues. Yeah.
So bad. And the noise pollution. I mean, it's really bad, Glenn, and it breaks my heart. And so I'm on the bandwagon now of being as involved as possible to stop it from happening.
Do you have a strict no phone or no email in the evenings and on weekends and when you're on vacation, or no texting, or do you allow them to do all that, or do they just feel guilty when they have to do it?
My staff or myself?
Your staff, yourself, both.
Um, no, let's talk about myself. No, I'm available and accessible 24/7.
Okay.
Do I feel like I'm working all the time? No, I don't, because there's balance. There's balance what you're doing. Um, if I'm reaching out to a manager or someone that's high up on my team and it's important, there's a reason I'm reaching out when I am. And again, it depends on what you want. It depends on the other question you have. But no, I don't really set a lot of boundaries for myself. I will say when you have like your second tier and your lower tier employees, don't bother them. Do not bother them on their days off. They're not on the pay level to get the text from me at 11 o'clock at night. When you're a top tier, you better be ready because when I text you or especially when I email you, it's usually because it's important. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing that unless it wasn't. So yeah, that's I think top tier team members, 24/7. Just be ready.
Do you treat, I know a lot of business owners do this. They'll put in their family commitments or their personal hobbies or whatever. They put that on the schedule first, and they're like, okay, these are non-negotiable appointments. I'm going to do those and work my business around it. That is so hard to do when you first start out. How did you treat that then and now?
There's non-negotiables when it comes to your family, and at the end of the day, your family has to come first. Always. There's never a time when your family shouldn't. You never miss a game ever. You really have to understand that is your priority, not your business. It has to be your family. You have to have a support system. It takes a village. It takes a village to raise children. Okay. And I'm very blessed that I live in the same neighborhood as two sets of grandparents, aunts, uncles. And so there is a lot of people around me all the time that raise my children. If it was up to me only, oh man, they'd all be screwed. Let me tell you.
One final question. If you could go back to your first year or two in business, what is one time wasting habit that you would have dropped if you'd known better?
Now, that is such a hard
It's
question
hard
for
because
me.
things have changed so much.
They have. And, I'm going to flip that question
Okay.
a little bit. Okay. I have a mentor. His name is Bob Nagin, and he runs Whizbang and a lot of retail mastery programs. And he said to me early on that you have to do what you love. Okay. First and foremost, do the tasks that you love, and everything that you don't love, find someone else for. Well, some of the things that I love are time wasters. I know it
Mm.
is. Like, I love working with customers. I love talking to people. I love making a connection with customers. And for me to grow my business and be on the floor talking to people is not advantageous to the greater Equus Now company, but I love it. So even though things may be time wasters, I don't know, you got to embrace it. You got to embrace what you love, because what you love keeps you motivated and keeps you doing what you do. So do what you love.
What's the website?
Equusnow.com.
And are you open if another retailer has a question they want to reach out?
Absolutely. I love working with retailers. It's so funny when Kitchen Nightmares was really popular, I wanted to have my own show called Tack Shop Nightmares.
I love that, actually. I'll be in it. I could be in on that one. We need to do that one together.
Yeah. Rosie would go into these stores and be like, "What are you doing?"
Well, it's been so much fun.
Only you and I would be watching it.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. It's been so much fun catching up again. This has been a blast. And, talking after all these years, we do have so many memories. And you know what? June Evers started a page on Facebook for retailers. And I know you belong to it. And I was so glad she did at the time she did, because we really do want to help each other. That's why I asked if you were available, because I knew you would be. We helped each other in the very beginning because none of us knew what the hell we were doing. We had no idea.
No, well, and we still don't. We're just still winging it.
Things change so fast. You almost are still winging it all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much. Equus Now is the name of the company. You'll see Rose at the trade shows. She's bumping around there as well. And on the WESA podcast at wisdombywesa.com on your podcast player, you'll find us there every Thursday. It's the Retail Roundup twice a month, and my wife does one called Wisdom by WESA twice a month. So we'll have something for you every single week on that show. You can find our YouTube channel. If you want to rather watch the video of all of these Retail Roundups, you can find them on the YouTube channel. Just search for WESA Trade Show. Also on the WESA website at wesatradeshow.com. We do this every Thursday. I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much again. Rose, we appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks for having me. It's great to see you.
Take care, everybody. Happy selling.